Well, hello there, Uber Ubers and Tuberettes alike. It's Short Talk in the Park with Trailer Park, that is, with you know who, an old guy. And so if you ask yourself, hey, what would old guys be talking about at a trailer park at 7 p.m. on a Saturday? Well, let's find out. I wanted to show you my mono here. This bad boy, it's not the best picture in the world. That sucker blew up today. That's that big old boo-boo. I went in there with that mini grinder the other day, about at least a quarter inch deep. It was an ugly cut. Well, I probably should have had stitches, and I never did. So I just wadded up cotton wool. All that just blew out today. And so I kept trying to wrap it up with electrical tape and cotton and paper towels and junk. So I got home and poured some peroxide on it and bubbled up pretty good. And now I'm just going to let the air get to it, and hopefully it'll begin to kind of slowly scab back over again. I don't know how many times I'm going to break this scab open, but it's right in the middle here of my palm, whatever that is. What's that called right there? I don't know. Um, Boy, it's going to be a weird cut to deal with. We've got a water heater change out coming up on Tuesday night at one of the local restaurants, and it's going to be ugly. Two huge water heaters, but in order to get to them, you have to remove this monstrous softener out of the way first and somehow make room for all this and get everything reconnected all in an 8-hour shift. This is going to be nuts. And so I'm not really looking forward to that job, to be honest with you. But today I did a bunch of side job stuff for a friend of mine, and I was hooking up a couple of Delta. I guess they're probably 10,000s. Yeah, Delta 10,000s, and the new tub, the new shower he's going to put in. Well, I don't have any idea how this guy's going to get his walls in here. I have no idea. He's gonna put fiberglass walls around the tub, and I was the one who informed him today that, oh, by the way, I don't know what your installer guy told you, but you're gonna have to strip all of this old tile off the wall and get back to stud work because it calls for a 60-inch corner to corner deal, and after the drywall you got nothing like that. So I threw him a couple of curveballs, just a little bit of stuff, and it's like, I want no part of putting that thing in. The faucets were not a big hairy problem, except I had a problem in terms of one of my solder joints, which I only found at the end of the day when I was about ready to go home. I just wanted to get out of that place. Found a slowpoke leak, and I was able to fix it. Cross your fingers. Can't do that. And hope that stinker holds. After you get to be 65 and begin to develop these kind of recurring opinions, have you ever noticed how old people keep saying the same stuff over and over again? Well, I work with a young guy who does that. He got rolling on one of his stories the other day, and as he was talking, I didn't say anything. I was just looking out the window, and I was thinking to myself, is this the third time or the fourth time I've heard this? And it's weird because he knows it like by rote. He says the same words again. So I don't really want to get into doing that with you guys. Thank you very much. This is supposed to be, entertainment, we'd hope, or something mildly interesting. Keep it mild there, pal. Yeah, so the thing is that I'm going to get up, go to church in the morning, and there's another thing. I'm not real wound up about church these days. It's like, you know what? The world is falling apart. The government is exactly wrong on almost everything it does. The church needs to say something. The church needs to step up and say, thou shalt not steal, poodle, in terms of, let's say, your inflationary policies. Because when inflation goes on, it's essentially a form of theft, grand theft, and who does it hurt the worst? The poor, the working poor, and those who are just barely kind of living paycheck to paycheck. And you would know that, wouldn't you, if you go to the grocery store or take a look at the gas pump prices or things like that. I've just been shocked lately. I went into the hardware the other day, and I don't know, I walked out with 3 parts or something like that. It was like $18. And I said, what? And so everything's going through the roof. And when we look at the financial situation, I don't know how many banks have failed in the last weekend here, but several hundred small, probably regional banks across the U.S. have failed. And I hope it doesn't go into full tilt chaos where people, start lining up. Do you ever see the movie? Is it called? It's a Wonderful Life? Is that the one with Jimmy Stewart? And he's a kind of a banker guy in a way, and he's got they have a run on the bank. Everybody wants all my money now because what happens is the government becomes so corrupt that the people don't even trust that my money, which was supposed to be safe, of insured up to $100,000 FDIC, in case of bank failure, guess what? They're not covering that anymore, very likely. And so, I hope it doesn't start causing bank runs, and please don't go pull all your cash out based on what one old guy says. Talk to some financial people, talk to somebody who knows what they're talking about. That would be nice. But as we kind of peruse the wonderful world of life and everything, I saw this guy today. I just don't know what this kid's thinking, okay? And maybe he's got some issues. Maybe there's demons involved. But this young kid, I say, now take a t-shirt like this, rip it straight down all the way, forward and backward of the sleeve. So this thing's just kind of fluttering in the breeze. And I swear, you've seen these guys with these stupid lowrider pants where they're constantly hitching their pants up because they're halfway down. And we're seeing about that much of their underwear from the rear. It's like, hey, this is a great view. Thanks for, making this possible. Well, anyway, this guy had taken it to another level. The top of his trousers were down by his crotch. And just covering up from his crotch to his knees. He was wearing shorts. But that's what was covered. He was walking around in his shorts across the street. And I thought, there's something happening to the people in this land. There's something weird that's going on in terms of, I think it's a supernatural thing. I think it's a demonic, we're in a demonic war right now. Actually, we've been in one forever. But right now it's really heating up in terms of the number and the power of the enemy that's being released into the free world, or what used to be the free world. And everywhere they go, they leave the same devilish stench. It's the smell of Trudeau's policies. It's the smell of the poodle's antics. It's the smell of the Chinese communists and all of their corruption on practically anything. You want to know what the GDP of China is? Well, guess what? So is everyone else. You can't count on any of their numbers. Their numbers are all rubber. They're all junk. And so, in other words, we're surrounded around the world, and then coming in across our borders, who knows how many terrorists have come across that line. And so, as a Christian person, you're looking at this, I'm looking at this, and thinking, Lord, what should I do? What am I responsible to be doing here? Should I go down on the border and hold a rifle? I mean, I don't know. But it might come to that in your neighborhood sometime, and perhaps sometime soon. Take a look at what's going on in Santa Monica. Take a look at what's going on in Oakland. Business after business after business after business, closed up, boarded up, I'm gone. They can't do business in that environment, and it's toxic. There's drugs everywhere. People are hiring a kite. They just, shall we say, take a crap on the sidewalk, because it'd be the thing to do, and then they go and sleep there. I mean, on the same sidewalk. And I mean, there's gangs and drugs and all. It's just getting out of hand. And what is the government of the United States doing about it? Assuring us that there's economic prosperity, that this is the best we've ever had it before. That's what they're trying to sell. That we're actually in the middle of an economic upturn. It's like, yeah, well, there is reality, and reality will kind of bite hard when it does sink in. Because what's going to happen is we're talking about worldwide collapse of the U.S. dollar in terms of its trading value. The dollar's on fire, baby. That thing's going down hard. That's all I own is dollars, and so a lot of people are going to get hurt, and I'm going to get hurt in this process too. I don't know what's going to come of it. I don't know how this is going to wash out, but certainly right now, this debt that we have is simply untenable, and the policies that are being made are only spending more money faster before the machine breaks. There's a guy I knew years ago, and we were pretty good friends. In fact, we were in business for a while. And his son, his oldest son, he named him Michael John after me. How about that? I'm pretty sure that's the only one that's ever going to happen like that. And last time I saw young Mike, he was probably 8 or 9, something like that. Shoot, I think he's probably married, got kids by now. But at any rate, this guy, my friend, said his dad's ambition was that if he ever knew for sure when he was going to die, let's say a doctor said you only have 6 months to live, or something like that. Uh, what he was going to do is he was going to go out and apply for every credit card he could possibly find, rack them all up, max them all out, and make them payable only by him and not by his estate, and then proceed to die with a huge bundle of debt. Well, it's a little bit like that. The idea is that the cancer patient is terminal. The United States is on, what do you call it, life support, and she's fading fast. She can't go on like this. And so what do? Well, if you're in Congress, rack up the debt as high as you can before the machine breaks. And that's what we're looking at. And so there's an awful lot that's diabolical, a lot that's devilish. And so you as a Christian, me as a Christian, I mean, yes, we should bear witness to Jesus Christ, that he is the truth, and he loves the truth, and he demands the truth of us. He demands righteousness as his standard. And so the thing is that none of us qualify. In fact, we're not even close. And he has made a new and a living way through grace and mercy. He's offered in the good news to switch places with you, to take upon him your burden, and take your burden away, and grant to you instead a new, essentially a persona, a new life founded on his righteousness, his perfections, and his loyalty to the Father. So the load of guilt is wiped off of you, washed away, and the shame too, because shame is a different thing than guilt, and it can hold a lot of people back for a long, long time. Because one of the things about shame is you never talk about what you're ashamed of. And so how are you ever going to deal with this, right? So we can talk to our Father about these things, and he listens. And so he's the only one who really does. And when we hear about the troubles in the world, and the craziness and the lies, and the kid who can't figure out how to put on a pair of pants, we got to realize that the whole world is deeply out of whack. It's off the rails. It's going to crash into a wall or go off a chasm, something like that. In other words, if you knew beforehand that a train was going to derail 1 mile further down the track, what would you do? Maybe, is there an emergency brake? Where's our emergency brake? And we don't have one. But what we can do is we can ask for his strength in it, in his endurance. Today about 3 times I was sitting there thinking, man, I just want to get out of here. But I thought, no, I can't do that. I got to finish this job up. So we got to remember to be as good as our word. I promised I'd do it. I'll get it done. And so we are the ones, we Christians, we're nobodies. Let's face it. We're pipsqueaks. And the great ones, the high lofty tofties, they don't care about us except wishing we'd just die and get out of here. And plus leave our inheritance. That's all they want. I mean, is that asking so much? Well, yeah, it is. But the thing is that when we look at the world around us and how crazy it is, and just wanting to just chuck it in, just be done with it, man, and just die and get out of here. Okay? He makes that happen. Today we can die. Today I died with Jesus. I tell you, it's no longer I who lives here, but Christ who lives in me. This is the new testimony that the apostle teaches us to repeat with him. And so we need to learn to say these words and to buy them, to believe them, and from a clean heart, be glad of it. Be glad that he's stepped in. Be glad that he's made all this difference, because this world by itself has no hope, and it's going to burn down. And the mess that humans and devils will make of things, it's just inexcusably bad. God will not stand for it when he returns, and God is Jesus. Jesus Christ is God and man. And so he's the new thing in the world. God Almighty, Most High, stepped into his own creation And as such, everything changes. And so we need to be equipped with His Spirit, be equipped with the testimony that He lives in me. Yes, He lives indeed on high. Amen. Seated at the right hand of the Father, if you'd like to know. And from there He shall come to judge the living and the dead. And He will judge justly and truly with ferocity. Vigor, you might say. John Kennedy might have said, with vigor. Maybe Teddy Roosevelt, I don't know. But at any rate, mix it up by Yankee accents. You guys, I just want to say, be encouraged. Get the lead out tomorrow morning and go find a church where Jesus Christ is preached. You need to hear it. The world is falling apart. He's the glue that holds your heart together. He's the glue that holds families together. He's the glue that used to hold communities and even nations together. But as they reject Him, He brings judgment upon them and makes their path ever more difficult and confusing. Why do you think, for instance, that things are going so crazy and so bad? God is judging this land, and as such, the plans of devils and men are not working according to their plan, not anymore. Everything's blowing up in their face, and they're frankly surprised by that too. The reason is, I think, at least in part, is that the great judge, when you have a corrupted and corrupt government, think of Nazi Germany. God judged that land and tore that stinking, miserable, mayhem, garbage. I mean, the man Adolf here, he was a nutcase, but he was involved with demons, and the output of that was a horribly fascinating topic for a lot of people. It really drew a lot of people in, but the price tag on that, the death tag on that, I don't know how many millions of Jews, at least 6 million. We don't know how many gypsies. We don't know how many Jehovah's Witnesses. We don't know how many Lutherans. We don't know how many Mormons or whoever else this guy decided to stab in the neck. Not to mention the mentally deficient and retarded. Those were some of his early on kills. We're starting to build a system just like his. Philip Wiley got it right in the 1950s. He said that America didn't win World War II. All that happened was that the winners moved over here. And that when we have the new American regime, it won't be a militaristic fatherland. It'll be a motherland. He describes it as an iron fist wearing a velvet glove. And so it's supposed to be kind of nice guy, smile, real feminine, kind of, happy. And yet it will crush people and it will ruin nations. Jesus Christ is here to renew people, you and me. And from there, we're the eternal ones. You see, we keep thinking in terms of these. I think C.S. Lewis came up with this, and I agree. We think of nations as long-lived souls around here. Like, well, gosh, the American thing went on for over 200 years. And look at, Russia. They've been doing their thing for 1,100 years or whatever it is. Well, those are flash in the pan. If you're in Christ, you were born in Him. You are begotten again. And you've been brought to life. And that life has no end. You can't be killed again. And so there's a new thing in you, and you are essentially an eternal creature now, which is a novel concept when you think about eternal creatures. How does that work? But it's eternity forward, not backward necessarily. But anyhow, you knew that. When we look at the world and we realize, what is God making? He's making a new people. What is man making? A goddamn mess. And the thing's going to start on fire when He comes. So, because he just won't put up with this. I sometimes get sick of things, and I think, why are you even talking to God? Why do you even allow this to happen? How does this help your case? Or anything like that. And He gets back to me in one way or another. I'm not saying I'm hearing voices just yet, but the sense of anguish and frustration and anger at this evil, these corrupted, twisted souls in high places, He meets that in me and says, I know. I'm the one who invented that. He's the one who invented righteous indignation. And by golly, when He's indignant, you're going to know it. So this is what keeps me going. I know that when Jesus comes, there'll be, there's all this talk about the rapture and stuff. I never go there. The rapture, in my opinion, is simply an ill-gotten gain out of some really badly done theology. Paul is talking not about some secret getaway of the church before things hit the fan. He's saying that when Christ arrives and he calls forth the dead, we shall at that time, we who are still living, shall be translated, and be made like he is, with an eternal body, without having to pass through death. That's all he was saying. And they've turned it into this nutcase scenario with people blasting off in the middle of the night, leaving all their clothes behind and all that stuff. And, that has ruined, I think, a lot of churches. Because what it does is that when you begin to realize, what's the net result of that? Milk toast. Churches that don't stand up, churches that don't have an opinion, churches that don't make a difference in their community. That's what we're building. It's sort of like the Elks Club Lodge, except we got a different, rigmarole. But we can do better than that. We really can, and the church has done better than that in the past. But let me tell you, it's almost always during times that are hard, times that are the times that try men's souls. Think about the Christians in China. Think about the Christians in North Korea today. Think about the Christians in Somalia. Think about the Christians in Lebanon or Syria or Israel. There's a lot of heat going down on Christian people. And in Canada, they're really kind of heating it up. Here in the USA, too. And the thing is that when that pressure comes on, that's when the church begins to grow. Part of it will cave in, part of it will give up, but the real church grows only really under, I guess you'd call it torment. Says a little bit about our character now, doesn't it? And so it isn't all bad news that bad times are going to come, because it's in the darkness that the light shines the brightest, right? And so you shine on, and you just remember that you're reflecting the light that he began before time began. And he will continue forever. He is the light. He is life himself. And he's come to dwell in our hearts. And we make him welcome. We say, thank you, sir, for moving in. And his changes, those are the ones we're interested in, right? That's my little sermonette for the day. And by the way, how about you pray about this? Make that go away. I'm always hurting myself. Most of it's just because I'm just stupid. Before I cut myself, I thought to myself, this is dangerous. Slow down. Now, keep pushing. So, that's what we have to learn, I guess, one step at a time. And even though I make the same mistakes 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 times in a row, he still is patient to teach. He's going to change this. This old pattern will break in time. It may last for years and years more, but it's going to break eventually. And all this folly and nonsense and shameful duplication of effort, which I appear to be responsible for, all that's going away, and we're going to inherit new natures. We're going to be just like Jesus is, the way he is right now. So won't you welcome him in? He's what it's all about. And that's why you have hope. Not because you're smart, not because your teeth are straight, not because you got money in the bank. You have hope because he lives, and he lives inside you. And you know it. Have a good day. Bye-bye.